What's up YouTube, this is Mathos927, and as you can see, we are once again sort of behind the scenes, only this time, it's not a behind the scenes video. Today we're doing something different, we're doing something really different. As you can see, I'm recording this on the 31st of December 2016. My goal, and I don't think that I'm going to be able to get this done, it all depends. I don't see this being a very heavily edited video. But my goal is to have this up on the 1st of January 2017. If not, I have a video ready to replace it, to take its place. But my goal for 2017 is to change up my style a little bit. I actually sent out a tweet about this at the end of 2016. My goal is to sort of reinvent myself in a way. My goal this year is to try and diversify my content a little bit. Try my hand at some other things, some other ideas. And so I figured, well, I want to do some more scripted videos. Yes, that is definitely going to be a major focus of my channel going forward. But there are other things that I could potentially do, other things that I could make videos out of, I feel. And for a while, I seem to be sort of creatively limited. Like, I always thought, well, it has to be something related to WWE. It has to be something related to the video games. There's not really much else that I can kind of go to branch out from that. But even if I only stuck to WWE and the video games, there's still more room for creativity, if that makes any sense. There's a lot more that I could do that I haven't done yet. But one thing that I thought of a while back, because I talked about how my writing has, in my opinion, it has improved greatly. When I first started, actually, I mentioned it in my State of the Channel video in particular, and I might have also mentioned it elsewhere, but there was a point where I felt like I fell out of writing. I felt like I had lost interest in writing, as the dark ages, I'll call them. This being around, like, middle school area, because, like, 6th grade, I wrote all these dumb little shorts. I actually think I still have a few of them. I actually have on a flash drive somewhere, I have, like, text versions of the files of those stories that I wrote. They're awful. But this, however, this is UCW, yes. UCWSuperstars.proboards.com. Man, this is bringing back the memories. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, UCW, it was a brand in my WWE 13 Universe mode. I've got a video coming up on that. It'll be sometime in 2017. Don't exactly know when, but we're going to be talking about UCW, the brand, in the future. But before that, I was a part of Undisputed Championship Wrestling. It was a WWE Games League that lasted from about SmackDown vs. Raw 2011 is when it first came into play. There was actually before it, there was a brief little, or rather, I was briefly involved with it. I'm not sure exactly how long it lasted. There was one called Veterans of the Ring, which was sort of I guess you could kind of call it like the mother show, or not the mother league to UCW, because most of the people came from there because there was some, I don't know, there was some disagreements in how that one was run. Like I said, I was new to the thing. I just kind of jumped in, and that was when I got started. So, I don't know. Not going to cover Veterans of the Ring today. I could potentially do it in the future. But today, I want to look back on these dark ages, this time where I supposedly fell out of writing, and put that in air quotes. Because I didn't stop writing. I joined back in 2011. The summer of 2011 was when I joined UCW, Veterans of the Ring. I think this site originated in August, because SmackDown vs. Raw 2011, yep. So I was one of the very first people to register. I think I was in like the first, or at least from who's still left, who's still registered on this site. I was one of the first few. I think I was like maybe in the first 10 or whatever. So I registered August 13th, 2011. This was, good God, this was 5 years ago. No, I feel old. But anyways, this 776 posts. So there's a lot that I did here. Some of that is just sort of nonsense, just sort of random postings, like, this one looks like my first promo. It's not, it's just randomness. There was actually, there were actually posts on here before this October of 2011, but the website, like, we had them, but then, like, in the jump to WWE 12, we kind of, like, redid things. Like, the site was sort of refreshed. Like, we wiped everything clean because I don't remember the exact reasoning, but, like, something we wanted to, like, I don't know, start fresh, I guess, because whatever we had from that, like, August to September period, I don't know, we just ended up clearing that out, and we started again in October. So there was stuff that I wrote before this that isn't on here, and there was stuff that other people wrote that isn't on here. I'm not going to be looking in on all of these other guys who posted stuff. Today we're just going to be looking specifically at my stuff, because I want to see how my writing was back in 2011. Now, to be fair, just to give you guys a warning, I have not looked at any of this since it was posted. Like, this league ran up until WWE 2K14, and then the jump to the new console, things just kind of fell apart. We're going to take a look at some of my older promos, and I do apologize, this might be a bit of a lengthier video because it is unscripted. I have not taken a look at these things since maybe shortly after they were posted. So, like, I haven't looked at any of these stuff by me. I haven't looked at any of this since 2011 when it was posted. Like I said, this did go up to WWE 2K14, so I believe the last posts here, if I go back to page 1, I believe it would be 2014. Yes, 2014 was where it came to an end. There is one post in particular where I know I screwed up majorly, and I found it. It is Just Like Old Times started by Bio Rockstar. So we're gonna take a look. We're gonna have a dramatic reading as courtesy of MathWiz97. So let's see how this goes. Well, guys, this is the countdown to WWE. Well, I already ruined that. I already ruined that dramatic reading. Here's where things really start to well, let's just read the promo and see how this plays out. Hades' Sword walks out to the ramp, grabs a mic. Gotta love that edgy superstar name, Hades' Sword. What even is that? Well, seeing as no one is here, I guess I'll just enter myself in this bout. Heads for the ring, but gets slammed in the back with a fire hydrant. A fire hydrant, not a fire extinguisher, a fire hydrant. This man, Darren Cole, rips a fire hydrant out of the ground and smashes the dude in the back with it. Who cares that there's all this water spraying all over the... Oh, why is there a fire hydrant in the arena? God, we're gonna flood the place. No. See, I meant fire extinguisher, but no, fire hydrant. The dude rips out a fire hydrant from the ground because he's like the Incredible Hulk or something, and he can do that. Opens a can of Toxic Storm cream soda and dumps it on Hades. Yes, that was his gimmick, kind of like the Sandman, in that he would always have this cheap plug for a can of Toxic Storm cream soda. As for Darren Cole, that was part of his sort of alter ego. When he began in Veterans of the Ring, he was Toxic Storm, and he was this sort of, well, actually, I made a video, and I'm gonna put a card on the screen to this because it still exists on the channel. I still have it there. A video I made way back in the days of WWE 13, but it was a SmackDown vs. Raw 2011 video. Back in 2013, I made a video. It was sort of like a knock on what Brendan Plays was doing at the time, which was his Road to Gold, but also Tony Pizza Guy did something similar, where he did a SmackDown vs. Raw 2011, sort of my career in universe mode, and I think Brendan and I both sort of took inspiration of that. Mine was more so just like ripping off both of them because, like, oh, Tony Pizza Guy did it, Brendan Plays is doing it, so I gotta get in on this. Sounds like fun, because that's the type of person I was back then. Let's just jump in on everybody else's stuff. Anyways, the reason why I am gonna link to that video is because it does showcase, one of them was Demon Savior, who, again, gotta love the edge for that name. It's like obviously this was 2011. I was what? No, that was before my birthday, so I was actually 13 at the time of writing this one. So yeah, that sounds like something a middle schooler would write. But yes, Toxic Storm. I did a series, it was called Rising Star to Stardom. That was my way of taking Road to Gold, but not taking the title specifically, you know, mixing it up somewhat. Lasted like 4 episodes. One of them I flat out deleted because I used a copyrighted song in the beginning of it. But I'll link the first episode. It'll give you a look at what Toxic Storm looked like. But yeah, Toxic Storm, he was the original persona for Darren Cole, and so I wanted to stick with that because Toxic Storm I thought sounded cool, because, and I still kind of think it does. Toxic Storm it's like a brand for something, I don't know, it seems like it works. That's why it was Toxic Storm Cream Soda. Anyways, that was a bit of a long tangent, but like I said, that's just how this video is going to roll. This one isn't particularly me trying to delve into scripted stuff. This one is me just, you know, taking a look back at some of this garbage. Speaking of garbage, let's continue with the promo. Suck on that, chump. After what you did to me back in September, you thought you could take my job? No way. You are in for a nuclear meltdown, my friend enemy. And I will be there to kick back with a can of Toxic Storm brand cream soda. Available at your nearest UCW arena. And watch as you fall to some familiar faces. That's right. I'm talking about Demon Savior. There he is, Demon Savior, he's there. And Lee Daniels. I don't even know who Lee Daniels is. I don't even remember that persona. You have too many alter egos, LOL. Yes, Beans. How did I not understand how right you were back in the days of 2011? I just had so many different characters. Like, this is only the beginning, right here. This is only the beginning. And I have so many other characters that I made for this brand and never really used. It was ridiculous. Darren Cole is like one of maybe 2 or 3 who actually got development, who I actually ran with for a decent amount of time. And I have another surprise in store for you, but I'm not gonna tell you. Looks at Hydrant, then back at camera. For the cars and other nearby objects outside the arena, UCW will not pay for any Hydrant. Oh, this is like a public service announcement type. Oh, I'm breaking the 4th wall here. Okay. Because that's clever, apparently. For the cars and other nearby objects outside the arena, UCW will not pay for any hydrant-related damage to your property, and neither will I. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some business to attend to. Looks back at Hydrant. Someone might want to put that back. Walks out through the crowd. I like this little addition. This is the final match before Darren Cole flies solo. First of all, there wasn't... Well, WWE Access was sort of the time where, like, it was still SmackDown. It was before the game came out, but we were all pumping it up like, yeah, this is when UCW is coming back. So we had this WWE 12 Access thing where it's like, you know, WWE Access, like WrestleMania Access. It's before the event. Everybody's excited. It's to build up hype. So that's kind of what this was. And it was like sort of, I guess, a interpromotional sort of match where it was just an invitational. So we probably did conduct the match in SmackDown vs. Raw 2011, or maybe it was WWE 12 by this point. Maybe the game was out, but we hadn't started actually running UCW yet. I think that was the thing. So the Battle Royal probably took place, but it wasn't actually written in this promo. But yeah, this one I had to look out for just because Fire Hydrant. Fire Hydrant. What else was there, though? Here's another one. This was my first promo that I started. A preview of things to come. Smiley face. Oh, man. It's probably nothing intimidating because that :D. Well, let's just check it out. Darren Cole appears on camera at the UCW Arena in St. Louis. Hello, world! Welcome to UCW Access. You all know me, but today, I'm here to hang out with the fans and show you a few things that you should expect this year. Some great things happening in October, the Cardinals winning the World Series, the Packers going 8-0 in the NFL, and UCW will be back on the air. Now, for my first act of business today, I'd like to invite a fan from the audience to come down here today. Today, in the same sentence. Looks around and points to a guy in a New York Giants cap and UCW t-shirt. Yes, you in the front with the great taste in football teams. Come here. What's your name? Guy. Clyde? Well, Clyde, you are the lucky fan today, as you will get to help me present this exclusive clip made by LOXR, Legends of Extreme Rules. Oh my god. Oh, I remember that. I made that. It wasn't even a league. It was just, oh no. I talk about all my alter egos that I had. Good God, that was a thing. That was a thing that existed. Oh my God, does that actually, I have to type up that URL. I think I deleted it, but it might still exist. So it doesn't still exist, but all it had was just a bunch of my alter egos, a bunch of created wrestlers that I made, and I was like, yeah, I could potentially run with these. This is only the beginning. It gets worse. I had a whole storyline where it was a bunch of people dressed in masks, and they were all different people. There was like 12 guys. And oh my God, I forgot how terrible these were. Like I barely focused on one guy because like this was probably why I went on to make a universe mode, because I could focus on more than one person because I can't be restricted to a single person. It's also part of why I don't enjoy my career, because you're one guy and that really limits what you can do because you're only one guy. But I had so many ideas, and I was, you really could only have like 1 or 2 people in this. And also because like competing in matches at the time, like we had a rule where I think you could have 2 people, and of course then there was also like the women's divas division, whatever we called it. Then you could have that as well. But yeah, I think you were limited to like 2 characters. You might have only actually been limited to 1, and the only thing with having the second was that like your other one kind of had to take a hiatus or sort of disappear, and I did that so many times. Like Darren Cole did come back, and he actually had a decent role, but it was just so many people. I don't even remember all of them. Like that Lee Daniels guy, I don't even know who that is. If I had started making WWE videos in 2011, we think my WWE 13 universe mode was bad. Good God, what would a WWE 12 universe mode had been like? I don't even want to think about that. A group of trainees that work to become my protege for the new year of UCW and possibly become a UCW superstar themselves. Of course, throughout my career, I will become a legend in Extreme Wrestling. A legend and Extreme... Why did I do that? Why did I type it like that? But I'm getting ahead of myself. On this clip is the match between Hades' Sword and the others you know, blah blah, etc, etc. Video pops up on a nearby TV. As you can see, this match has been going on for some time at this point, and Demon Savior is the only one still fighting Hades, while the others are basically dead on the floor. Ow! Hades kicks oh, okay, because he's like reacting, he's doing commentary. Oh! Hades kicks Demon in the face, and he's out cold for the 1, 2, 3. But then you see a familiar face with kendo stick. With what? That's not proper grammar. I'm sorry. Like I'm like a total grammar. I am an official grammar cop. I work for the grammar police, and this kills me. This type of. But then you see a familiar face with kendo stick come from the crowd and whack him in the face with it. Then you see the camera close up on Hades, and then get grabbed by the cameraman, and then come close to Hades' face and black out. You can guess what happened. Oh, see, what just happened? I'm quoting this, but it's like the action dialogue where it should have the asterisks. What just happened? Was I speaking? Like, was Darren Cole saying that, or was it no, okay, there's the action bubble, there's the asterisk. Oh no, but that wasn't even part of it. I think I was actually saying that. What is... You can guess what happened. So, Clyde, what'd you think about that video? I don't really get... And we're out of time, but before we go, I will give you this. Grabs a can of Toxic Storm cream soda from the concession stand. A free can of cream soda made by yours truly, Clyde. But I'm allergic. Darren pushes him off screen. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Jesus. And this is Darren Cole signing off. The countdown to WWE 12 and the return of UCW has begun. But until next time, keep on YouTubing? No, that wasn't a thing yet. Grabs another can of cream soda and sprays it at the camera screen. What? Wow. Collateral damage just on full display here. Fans cheering in the background as TV returns to normal programming. So yeah, Darren Cole just destroyed a camera, spraying a bunch of cream soda at it. That was collateral damage. Seems to be a theme in regards to these promos. Good God, I'm at the 25-minute mark of recording this, and that was one promo. I'm not gonna drag this on for too long. I don't think this is an actual promo for me. But yeah, I want to look at one more of these old ones, and then I'm gonna take a look at some of the newer, not really new, but like the more recent ones, some of the 2014 stuff that I wrote, because I actually had some good, like, stuff that I remember being well written. I'm just curious about how the ideas hold up, because that time period was, like I said, the dark ages. It's middle school, you know, you got all you're going through changes, and of course, yeah, it's a real period of adjustment for everybody. So I'm very curious to see to what extent I went with some of those writings. Chris Cooper, walking around the backstage, heads to the parking lot. Darren Cole hits him in the back with a cinder block. Okay, well, it's not quite a fire hydrant, but cinder block, okay. Picks up Chris and throws him through his car window. Pulls him back out and slams his head on the hood. Darren pulls out a roll of tape and tapes Chris to the ground and runs off. When Chris comes to, Darren runs him over with a Zamboni machine and Oh, okay, I think this is taking the piss. This isn't an actual legitimate promo. That's what the :P is for, because it's a joke. Okay. When Chris comes to, Darren runs him over with a Zamboni machine and drives off. Walks back and drops a piece of Trident layers on him. My breath doesn't stink, bitch. Walks off. I feel like I'm missing context here. I feel like it's probably something that we talked about in the chat at some point. Yeah, a lot of these earlier stuff don't really hold up very well out of context, but let me move ahead to some of my older stuff. There's one in particular that I'm gonna look for real quick before, there's one in particular that I really, really like. And this one, there's a bit of interaction from other people, so I guess just kind of compare my writing. Oh, and this one has Jam. I liked the promos that I wrote with Jam. Not necessarily not simply this storyline in particular. There's one final promo I'm gonna show you at the end, which is more lighthearted, more comedic. But Jam, he and I, that was towards the end where I think I was starting to actually be able to write good. I could English good, and I could actually, you know, and I also had a better idea at storytelling by this point. So let's just compare this to my 2011 stuff and see how this fares. UCW Friday Nights resumes from a commercial break. Give Me a Sign by Breaking Benjamin blasts throughout the arena as Shane Cooper's entrance movie plays on the Tron. Okay, so now I should give a bit of a disclaimer. Shane Cooper, he was the main guy who, you know what, hold on. I'm gonna look up those promos. I'm gonna look up the ones with all the 13 masked guys, and I'm gonna give you a reading from that, because that's where Shane Cooper originated from. Oh my god. See, most of these posts are the stuff with oh my god, most of this is like the storyline. Like anything involving me, I believe is this storyline. Oh man, where does it begin? The selection sounds like that sounds like a thing. Like that sounds like a thing where it would have started. Greg Wilkinson and Ray Zanifold, gotta love those two guys. Those two were awesome commentators. But then those were like the main canon commentators, but I also came up with two of my own. I believe I had something like an affinity for like naming people with two first names. So I believe I had like Kevin Carter and Devin Jordan, I believe were my two commentators. That was my canon. But this isn't the promo that I want to look at the moment. But as you can see, like there was a big chronicle of that. Where is it? Yeah, there was a chronicle of this, like initiation. That was definitely part of it. There was some parts where like a guy would get 7 of 8 red masked associates. Oh my god, and a man masked in green. So there's at least like 9 guys there, and they were all mine, if I remember correctly. I believe that was the payoff. Was like they were all my guys. I don't think I gave anybody else the chance, because that's something I could have done, but like everybody has their own idea of what they want their character to be. But potentially looking back on it, it would have been cool to bring in some other guys for that. But yeah, this was written, dated December 22nd of 2012. So this wasn't 2011. My promos weren't terrible here. You can see they're actually more grammatically accurate. But let's just read this and have a look-see at the origins of Shane Cooper. This is A Leader with No Followers, was the title of this one. As the latest episode of UCW Superstars begins, meat on the table hits, and the lights in the arena black out. Commentator Greg Wilkinson. Oh great, it's those mysterious masked goons again. I think they've carried on this charade long enough. It's time to come clean and unmask. Commentator Ray Zanifold. For once, I agree with you on something. These young men have shown us their talents, but let's face it, if you hide behind a mask, you won't be able to prove much on the microphone. Donald Quinn and Corin, Corin Black and Donald Quinn, two of the guys as a part of the group, once they were revealed, were smart enough to realize that, and that's why they're our future world champions. As for these two, they're nothing but jobbers until they prove they're capable of removing a piece of fabric from their faces. When the lights turn back on, an unknown man is standing in the ring, leaving the crowd in shock and confusion. Greg, who the hell is this? He's not a UCW superstar. The unknown man holds a mic, and he motions to a burlap sack that was unnoticed until now. He reaches into the bag and pulls out a red mask as the crowd begins to boo. The man speaks. Judging by the reaction I'm receiving, I'm sure you realize exactly who I am. But yet you don't truly know exactly who I am. You see, my name is Ryan Mitchell, and I'm the biggest prospect to join this company since DeMarcus Hardy. Of course, DeMarcus Hardy was not one of my guys, to be fair. This was another guy in the league, and he was actually credible, so that statement has value there. The crowd begins to boo louder. And of course, before I move on, when I mention guys like Corin Black, Donald Quinn, you're probably like, who the hell are these guys? Exactly, that's the thing. Like, who are they? I had so many people, like, they didn't have value really on their own merits. Just, so when you're saying, who the hell is this guy? That's right. Who is that guy? Because they didn't matter. Okay, so this isn't Shane Cooper, but it definitely did play a big role in his. Ryan Mitchell was, I'd say that I had 4 guys who I can remember as I actually developed time to them. One was Darren Cole, one was Ryan Mitchell. Some of these guys you can actually see in my UCW Universe mode. One of them was Ryan Mitchell. He was kind of like a Damian Sandow knockoff. He was always shouting. I mean, this was his origin, so he wasn't as... I gave him a bit more of a comedic side, I guess. He was, you know, an intellectual. He would always shout, irrelevant, at everything. Yeah, he was basically like a Damian Sandow, sort of. I can't remember if he was kind of crossed with anybody else, but yeah, Damian Sandow was a big inspiration for him. Then there was Shane Cooper. Shane Cooper, I think, in terms of when I could write good promos, I think Shane Cooper had the biggest development. So I'd say he was really the major focus in UCW, even though Darren Cole is the one that I always remember, because I always considered him, because he was my first guy that I made, so I always considered Darren Cole to be the major star, but Shane Cooper got the most development, I would say. And then there was Victor Jordan Cole, which was, I think he was like a younger brother to Darren Cole. He was a freaking Hulk of a man, but like, he didn't really do anything significant. Now before I get started, I want to show you a behind the scenes clip from a backstage skirmish that occurred after the show last Friday. A video plays on the Tron that shows the blue and red masked men walking backstage. As they walk into the parking lot, they are attacked from behind by Donald Quinn and Corin Black, who were thought to have disappeared from the arena but moments before. As Corin and Quinn walk away, looking for weapons, the red masked man charges after them, slamming Corin into the door of a van. Quinn, however, ducks out of the way and shoves the red masked man into a nearby car, and his head goes through the glass window, knocking him unconscious. As this is happening, the blue masked man is seen running out of the parking lot. The video fades to black, and Ryan shakes his head. You see that? He'd rather cover his own hide than come to the aid of his partner. This is not the act of a leader. This is the act of a coward, and I will not be associated with a pathetic coward. So Shane, and yes, Shane, I'm using your name, I'm done playing your little game. So I demand that you come out here and show your face to these people, so they can see what the face of a coward looks like. Ken Shamrock's theme hits, and the Blue Masked Man walks out on stage with the microphone. As he raises it to his mask, he is hit from behind by Victor Jordan Cole. There he is. Listen, Blue, I didn't ask for you to run your mouth. And since I knew you'd try to talk your way out of this... Wait, no. And since I knew you'd try to talk your way out of this, so I had a little chat with Victor here, who has some payback of his own, or has some payback on his mind from that little backstage attack a few months ago. So, Victor, do these people a favor and show them the cowardly face of the man known as Shane Cooper. Victor rips off his mask and rips it in half before walking away through the entrance. And now that that's done, I'll gladly find myself a new, and more importantly, cohesive stable to join. The lights in the arena black out, and when they turn back on, Ryan Mitchell is gone. And yeah, that's it. That's the end of that promo. So that doesn't really give you, I guess, an insight as to Shane Cooper, but that's sort of how I wrote my stuff. But if you're interested in, like, some of the promos that I wrote in the past, let me know down in the comment section. Maybe I'll make a part 2 of this. But I want to showcase... Well, I do want to showcase 2 here, because this one's a bit of a... This one actually goes back and forth with Jam some. I'm going to not showcase the whole promo, because this is a long one. It's a 2-pager. So yeah, Give Me a Sign by Breaking Benjamin was his theme music. Breaking Benjamin's awesome. I love him. One of my favorite bands. That's why we have Give Me a Sign, because it's a great song. As Shane Cooper's entrance movie plays on the Tron, the crowd rises to their feet and begins cheering as Shane Cooper, accompanied by Cassidy Wilson, this was his girlfriend at the time. It was another superstar in UCW, a diva superstar. I don't know what WWE calls them anymore. So yeah, it was another person who was in UCW, one of our female competitors. Yeah, Cassidy Wilson. Well, I don't know if this promo really delves into her, but she was a bit crazy. She was like an AJ Lee type thing where, you know, don't say crazy around her because she'll rip your head off. Enters the arena, supporting himself with the help of crutches. Shane and Cassidy slowly make their way down to the ring, the crowd continuing to give Shane a standing ovation. As you can see, you know, in the year and a half or so that transpired from now, things have definitely changed. We're all over the place with here. But if you'd like me to actually kind of chronicle a storyline that I would have been going through on this website, let me know. I mean, I could potentially, I don't know. We'll see how things go. Also, I might potentially document a Veterans of the Ring, make a video off that as like a part 2. So I don't know, whatever you want to see. Veterans of the Ring would be a lot funnier because my writing was even worse than the 2011 promos that I looked at on here. But yeah, just letting you know if that would be something you'd be interested in making, or anything you'd be interested in seeing, rather, not making. I'm the one making it. You guys are watching it. Shane and Cassidy slowly make their way down to the ring. The crowd continue to give Shane a standing ovation. Shane smirks, his face without its usual painted designs, and his hair down to his shoulders instead of in a ponytail. Shane wears his insane entrance shirt and generic black pants. His left pant leg is larger than the right due to the cast and medical materials surrounding injury beneath his knee. Upon reaching the base of the ramp, Shane hobbles over to the ring apron and pushes himself up onto it. Cassidy slides his crutches into the ring while he pulls himself in using the bottom rope. Cassidy walks up the steps and enters the ring. She grabs Shane's crutches while he pulls himself up on one leg using the ropes. Cassidy gives him his crutches, which he places beneath his armpits to keep himself upright. There's a lot of attention to detail in this sort of, these opening 2 descriptive paragraphs, which I like. I do like now that there's, some may say, well, that's boring, you know, let's just get on to what you're trying to do. I don't know, but in terms of actually writing, I do like this, all this description. I like it. Cassidy begins to walk to exit the ring and grab a microphone, but Shane stops her. Cassidy, confused, begins conversing with Shane. If you don't want to speak, then why did we walk all the way down to the ring with your injury? What do I have to say that I or someone else hasn't said before? I'm obviously hurt, and he damn well knows that I want to hurt him just as badly, if not more. Instead of making the predictable first move, let's just wait for him. Cassidy gives Shane a look of confusion and partial annoyance. But that doesn't make any sense. Shane smirks and chuckles. Exactly. Besides, who says he'll want to talk? Maybe he'll just rush the ring and I can beat him with this crutch. Cassidy shakes her head, laughing slightly, as she and Shane turn to face the stage, awaiting Jam's arrival. The crowd, both confused and slightly disappointed with Shane's silence, falls silent in anticipation of Jam's appearance. Only Jam reply. And see, that's some of the things that you would have to do sometimes because newer people wouldn't quite understand what's going on. And like, if you had taken me from 2011 and thrown me into this same scenario with me from 2014, I might have been the idiot who would reply because it's like, oh, this is cool, let me just get involved with everything and ruin all the storylines because I want to be a part of this. So here's from Jam. Shane and Cassidy await as Prelude blasts, and Jam walks onto the stage with microphone in hand, looking out into the crowd with a smirk, as he does not have his towel on his head. He gets to the bottom of the ramp before raising his microphone. Shane, if you think I'm stupid, then you'll realize fighting me with that crutch would make you lose your job, or the agony of your leg cause you to forget. Jam chuckles as the crowd boos. Now, you have something you want to talk about, boy? Jam looks on. And that's, you had to have certain keywords to, like, show that the other person was supposed to continue the promo and that it didn't just end, or that, like, nobody else would jump out and interfere and, like, take the promo in their own direction, because this wasn't really scripted. Like, a couple people would sometimes come together and plan out a storyline, but it was honestly like an open forum. Anybody could jump in if they wanted to, which is why, towards the end, there'd be keywords like looks on and like awaits a response from this person, because just to make sure that nobody else would jump in and ruin whatever you had planned. Shane and Cassidy exchange a look. Cassidy smirks and walks to the other end of the ring, calling for a microphone from ringside, which is quickly handed to her through the ropes. Cassidy walks over and hands the microphone to Shane, who lazily raises it to speak. Well, last Sunday at Extreme Apocalypse, I pinned you, but once the match was over, you decided not only to attack me, but injure me. As if I haven't dealt with enough injuries in recent months. I'm not mad though. No. I'm ashamed. I'm disappointed in you, Jam. I thought you were better than petty sneak attacks, but obviously I was mistaken. Were you that upset that I wouldn't become your little lackey? Then again, maybe I'm the fool to expect anything else from you. Last Sunday, you proved to me and the rest of UCW and the rest of the UCW universe that you're nothing more than a coward. The crowd cheers. If you can't get the job done, you'll resort to jumping a man from behind and crippling him when he can't defend himself. You're no better than Chris Savior. The crowd boos at the mention of Chris's name. Jam quietly chuckles to himself before responding. The whole setup for this rivalry, I had a really long feud with Chris Savior. Arguably, it was a bit drawn out. We just had conflicting interests and other circumstances because it wasn't a scripted league. It was kind of like a mix of. It wasn't really a mix. It was just sort of play matches and then make promos about it. I mean, that might be selling it a bit short, but it wasn't anything like FAM where it was scripted. It was more so just to have fun rather than actually like put on a show, because it's not like any of this was recorded or anything. There's no like visual footage. Although I do have like one match that I recorded and uploaded to my second YouTube channel, which I might link in this video. But yeah, it wasn't anything made as like a show. It was just to have fun. So that storyline, I could potentially look at that in a future part if you'd be interested again in watching more of this. But I don't know, this might only be a one-off. I don't expect this to do that well, but you never know. I could be wrong. So let's move on with the promo. Jam. Behind, you are well aware of me. If you think losing is my concern, you're mistaken, because you belong to me. That stipulation was just hope before the despair. Jam chuckles. I thought you would see through that. That injury to your leg is nothing compared to the mental pain you're fixing to go through. You belong to me, or you lose your job, Shane. No way around it. The fact is, the only hope you have in this world is me. You wanted me to help you keep your job, so I took the necessary steps to help you keep it. Now, if you want any last comments before you hand her over, the floor is yours. Jam looks at Shane with a smirk, awaiting his response as a silence goes over the crowd. Shane looks confused at first, but then he slowly turns to look at Cassidy, who smirks at Jam as if he were a goldfish in its bowl, and she were a hungry cat. Okay, that's an interesting description there, but I think I understand what I'm going for. Cassidy laughs at Jam, the thought of his ludicrous statement fresh in her mind. Realizing that Jam was referring to Cassidy, Shane turns back to Jam. Do you not realize how stupid of a proposal that is? I have nothing to gain by letting you have Cassidy. I've earned my job in this company back, and you haven't got the authority to take it away from me. So the answer to your offer is, hell no. Shane stares at Jam as he readjusts himself, placing both of his crutches under the arm on the same side as his injured leg, while draping his arm over Cassidy's shoulder, pulling her in close to him. Okay, I'm gonna read these next two, and then I'm gonna move on to this final one, which is a lot more lighthearted, and that's gonna be the end of the video. Jam laughs. You made a mistake. She becomes my bride, or your job in the snap of a finger is gone. See, Shane, you don't seem to remember. Roll the clip. Video shows of Jam and Shane's segment from a week ago. Shane's smirk disappears and dark aggression fills his face. I need you to promise me that I won't be released from my new contract after this is all said and done. I don't care what you have to do, but you will make sure that my job with this company is secure. And that, of course, is being said by Shane Cooper, just in case you didn't understand that. Video quits as Jam smirks. Shane, I did what I had to, and now the only way your job is safe is if she is by my side. Jam reaches in his back pocket, pulls out an envelope. See, Shane, in your contract, it now states that you have a job as long as Cassidy is by my side. If she isn't, then you're fired. And if you lay a hand on her after tonight, or hand on me at any time, then you're out of a job. Jam laughs as he slides the contract out of the envelope. If you don't believe me, then read for yourself. Jam slides the contract in the ring with an evil smirk. Shane stares in disbelief at the contract that lies at his feet. Shane begins shaking his head, progressively faster and more aggressive as the moments pass by. Eventually, he kicks the contract away from him, causing it to fall out of the ring to the floor. No! I can't believe it! I refuse to believe it! You can't do this! I only recently reunited with Cassidy after months of not trusting myself to be around her, and you expect me to just give her up? You must be dumber than I thought. I refuse your offer. So I guess you'll just have to fire me. The crowd begins to chant no as Shane glares into Jam's smug face. Lily reply. Lily was the person who made Cassidy, but Jam ends up replying anyway. I think she either wasn't online to reply or something happened. And, you know, usually like this, as you see over the course of time, it's all usually written in a short amount of time because you gotta strike while the fire is there. Like, while you have the inspiration, you gotta capitalize on it. But that's all I'm gonna talk about with that promo. I like that one. That one wasn't bad. A lot of the stuff that I worked on with Jam, I feel like was some of my best work. And of course, naturally, it was towards the end. Most of it was towards the end of the UCW's lifespan. However, that was a more serious sort of storyline. This one was about a year earlier, 2013. And yes, UCW Aftermath. This, I wish I had done more of this. This was looking back on it, this is probably one of my favorite promos that I've ever written for UCW or Veterans of the Ring in general. Because this, I don't know, I felt like this had so much personality to it. I'm just gonna read it, and I'll give a few more thoughts after this. But this is episode 2 of UCW Aftermath, and it's easily my favorite of the bunch. A cameraman is seen walking onto the set of UCW Aftermath, as Memphis Taylor is seen sitting in a leather recliner with a thin comb in his hand as he brushes his big, bushy mustache. As Memphis begins to reach to put his comb away, Lil Jammy pops out from behind the chair a few inches from Memphis's face. So I think the gimmick with Lil Jammy was that he was like I don't know what the proper word is because, you know, PC, everyone's got to be politically correct nowadays. His gimmick was basically he was a midget. You know, he was tiny. Memphis Taylor, he was this like prim and proper dude. He had like a really big bushy mustache. Like, I want to say like the one that Simon Gotch has, but that's not quite right. It's bigger and just thicker, and it's not curly. It's just bleh. It's just there. It's like when you take a small furry animal and just throw it on someone's face. It's that kind of a mustache. And that's what Memphis Taylor had. And that was his gimmick. He was always combing his mustache, or he had like the slick back hair and he was combing that. You know, that was his thing. He was just really, you know, he was a stick in the mud, pretty much. And Lil Jammy was just a ball of chaos.
Hiya!
Memphis, surprised, tightly grips his comb as he falls out of his chair. Memphis looks at the two pieces of his separated comb before angrily glaring at Jammy. What the hell are you doing here?
I'm your new co-anchor until Beetle returns. I might even get my own spot once Josh gets back if I do well enough.
Memphis does a facepalm before running his hand through his hair. Memphis shakes his head and stands up, beginning to sit back in the recliner.
There's another reason why I was here. This is my chair.
What?
Yeah, the producers brought this for me here. or brought this here for me.
Memphis glares at somebody off screen, and a chuckle is heard from off camera. Okay, where do I sit? Jamie points to a man who is seen bringing in an old wooden rocking chair. Memphis's face turns red in anger, and his mustache twitches as he glares at the chair. I just bumped my pop filter, my apologies for that. Memphis walks over to the chair and sits in it, only for the fragile object to break into pieces as Memphis sits in it. Memphis jumps back to his feet and bellows off camera, "Are you serious?" Jamie rolls off the chair, pounding his fists on the ground as he laughs. Memphis glares at the producer off screen. "What now?" The producer's voice is faintly heard. "Guess you'll have to stand, but don't worry. We'll get you a couch or something for the next episode." Memphis sighs and stands next to Jamie, who is still snickering in his recliner. The camera pans to show both men in the shot as Unstoppable by the Charm City Devils plays and UCW Aftermath officially begins. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of UCW Aftermath. My name, of course, is Memphis Taylor, and today...
And I'm Lil Jammy.
Memphis quickly looks at Jamie, glaring. Memphis rolls his eyes and sighs. Yes, I've been given a new broadcasting partner for the time being.
And it's me!
As I was saying, today we've got a great show ahead, including an exclusive interview I had with Shane Cooper from earlier today. Jamie cuts Memphis off and introduces the rest of the lineup as Memphis' face slightly reddens again with frustration.
Also, we have huge news regarding the next week's episode.
Well, Memphis looks at Jamie expecting to be cut off again, but Jamie says nothing. Now as I...
Wow, the cat got your tongue. I know I'm a midget, but staring is rude.
Jamie looks at Memphis with a smile. Memphis. Well, there has been tons of backstage drama in the Divas division between Brittany Sky and, the other one. I have no idea who that... Yeah. That was me breaking the fourth wall mid-promo, but putting in parentheses was to say that he wasn't actually saying it because that was me justifying, like, hey, I don't know who this person is. And there are rumors flying around that about a possible release. And there are others flying around saying that Brittany has intimidated her to the point of quitting UCW herself. I guess that's what happens when you cross the head of the Divas division. Speaking of releases, UCW veteran Darren Cole, there he is again, spoke out to the UCW Board of Directors yesterday, stating that he was disappointed and frustrated at the handling of the contract of Corn Black. Maybe Corn Black got more airtime than I realized. I can't follow any of this stuff that I wrote. I feel like even if I went back and I read all my promos, I still wouldn't really understand what's going on half the time. Darren later went on, UCW management had mishandled the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, referring to his Road to UCW competition. Road to UCW is actually a series I did on YouTube on my original WWE gaming channel, which you can check out. There's a link to it on my About tab on my YouTube page. It will say my classic WWE content. You can check that out. I actually had a whole series on it. Not saying it's good, but if you've got some time on your hands, you want to know more about the origins of Mathwiz 97, this was one of the few tie-ins between the UCW League and my YouTube channel at the time. Because I started both around the same time, so without UCW, my YouTube channel, I doubt I would have stuck with it as long as I did. So, I mean, they're kind of, they're intertwined with each other, so going back to look at something like this, it's very nostalgic, but it's also, gives you an idea of where I came from, I guess. Referring to his UCW competition of having a superstar with an already established UCW fan base, not simply because of his release, but of Corn Black's lack of character development since his arrival to the company in November. Corn had the opportunity of becoming a huge babyface, only to be turned heel and aligned with Donald Quinn, another superstar who had been faded to irrelevancy upon debuting with the company. Darren later went on to ask for the termination of his current UCW contract. So much for the possibility of one last run in UCW. I feel like Darren still came back after that, but it almost seems like I'm taking the piss out of myself because here I am, like, basically saying, yeah, these guys were irrelevant. They faded to irrelevancy, like, nothing was done with them. And I feel like I was doing this to try to play it up as, like, UCW management was kind of doing something, and not to take the attention away from me. This was me basically saying, yeah, my promos were garbage because I had so many people, all these characters, lack of character development is right there. It was me calling myself out, but also trying to tie it into some sort of a storyline. I don't remember if there was ever a payoff for that. I don't know if it went anywhere beyond this episode, but I don't know. Finally, there has still been no update regarding the condition of the UCW champion Chris Xavier, nor the location of Judas, leaving all of UCW in the...
Excuse me.
What?
I have to pee.
What? In the middle of the show?
Keep my seat warm for me.
Jamie runs off the set as Memphis looks around confused. After a moment, Memphis smirks. Well, if he wants me to keep his seat warm... Memphis walks over to the chair. As Memphis sits down, a pie is seen flying onto the screen, hitting Memphis directly in the face. Jamie pops up from behind the chair with a huge, cheesy grin on his face as the bulk of the pie falls from Memphis's face, showing Memphis's angry face covered in whipped cream. Memphis, roll the interview! I'm gonna continue on with the rest of this promo because this is where, when I talk about like things getting dark, I know that this has it. Because I remember this promo. This is one of the few that I've actually gone back and read since 2013, like I've read recently. This one was me really being, trying to be more serious than I actually needed to be. But anyway, let's take an in-depth look at this. The scene fades to black, then fades to a scene inside of Shane Cooper's home, showing Shane Cooper relaxing on his living room couch as Memphis Taylor gets settled in a chair across from Shane. Crutches are seen leaning against the couch, and Shane's left leg is in a cast up to his mid-thigh. Shane's hair appears to have grown longer, now past his shoulders, whereas it hadn't been much lower than his chin. Shane had also shaved most of his beard, leaving only some blonde facial hair on his neck. Shane looks up at Memphis with a weird look on his face. That's a, nice hamster on your face? Memphis, it's a mustache. Really? You could smuggle a bag of candy in there. Ugh. So anyway, how's the knee, Shane? Been better, but could be a lot worse. Only a few torn ligaments. The doctors actually said that I had sustained some from... I cannot read this. The doctors actually said that I had sustained some form of ankle injury during the TLC match a month ago, and that I aggravated it on my way down from driving Chris through that table, and severely sprained it. Plus a few other odds and ends in the lower half of my leg. I'll only be in this cast for a few weeks though, just long enough to make sure the majority of the minor stuff gets back into place. I should be out in a month, at the latest. Wow, does having to deal with all of these injuries make you regret your actions at the pay-per-view? Hell no. I'd have done it for worse, just happened to get lucky. How has this injury affected your relationship with Cassidy? Shane smirks a little. She's been a real sweetheart the past week. Even when she isn't around to help me in person, she's always open to a phone call or text message. Whenever I need someone to talk to, whenever I need someone to talk to. That was one sentence, and I added punctuation in my head. She's had her own injury issues in the past, so she's always good for a few tips to help out. What do you mean by, wouldn't you like to move on? Shane's look had changed from happiness to seriousness. Sure. Just why exactly did you do what you did to Chris during that match? Shane slightly chuckles. But not humor. But not humor is felt from that chuckle. Chris had been there from the beginning, not only of my career, but the beginning of my adult life. Oh yeah, this is the ultimate backstory that I came up with for Shane. Oh man. I don't know how I feel about this. Backstory. As a teenager, Chris was like the older brother I never had. We were best buds. No, we were more than that. We were family. We were brothers. Maybe not by blood, but in spirit. I was never the biggest, the smartest, the strongest, the most handsome, the most talented kid growing up, but for some reason, I was the target of a lot of threats. Bullies, random jerks on the internet. Hell, I even had a few adults walk up to me and insult me to my face, not because I did anything wrong, just because I was. My own existence was enough to earn me more criticism than anyone at that age ever deserved. Then came the day that... Shane pauses for a moment and looks over at a picture frame sitting on a desk to his left. The day that he died. Is that your father? Damn right it is. How come you've never mentioned him before? My father's death wrecked my life. I started failing classes, sleeping in until noon and skipping school, began picking a bunch of fights, and suffered several suspensions from my high school. There was one point where I was considering getting myself expelled, and that's when Chris, who had graduated a few years before, stopped by and spent 3 weeks with my mom and I. When I asked, "Why is Chris here?" my mom told me that she had called Chris and told him about what my life was turning into. Chris spent 3 weeks sleeping on our living room couch, waking up at 6 a.m. every morning, just to wake me up and hang out with me. I had at the time been suspended for an entire month of school, and by that time, I had been in a continuous sleep schedule of going to bed at 3 in the morning and not waking up until well after 1 in the afternoon. Those 3 weeks Chris spent with us was what turned my life around, and what made me want to live again. Okay, by now, when I say dark, edgy, this is exactly what I mean. Something that's not actually sinister, but it's like, this is a wrestling storyline. This is a lot of detail into like this storyline. Is it over the top details? Maybe. Or maybe I'm onto something here. Maybe it's like, maybe this is the best storyline ever written. That's probably what I thought at the time. I probably looked at this and I was like, damn, this is some really good stuff. Like, this is amazing. It was, I guess, supposed to be like me pushing the boundaries of what a wrestling storyline could be, because this is the internet and it's just a little forum that we had, a little group where I could do whatever I want, write whatever I wanted. I feel like this is me trying to push those boundaries. Does that necessarily mean that it's a good thing? I mean, like, we have Kane in the WWE who killed his parents in a fire. That didn't make his character any better. So, I don't know. This isn't, it's not bad, but is it good? I don't feel like this isn't the type of thing that should be included in a wrestling storyline, because at the end of the day, the payoff is a wrestling match. That's why, like, with wrestling, you're always going to be somewhat limited in what you can do, because if you can have, like, death matches, I guess. Like, you can have super extreme stipulations, and that's why I feel like my storyline at the moment with Cody Rhodes and the Stardust character, I feel like that's about the limit of what I can do, because if I push it any further than that, it's stepping what I feel like is too close to, not necessarily reality, but like, it's bringing in a lot more realistic elements. When you start getting to the point of like, death is a possibility, that's when I feel like you've gone too far. In a backstory where it's the driving motivation of a character, I think that's passable. But when you get to a point where it's like, I want to kill this guy, no, that can't be part of a wrestling storyline. It ends with a wrestling match. You can't bring in murder into a storyline. That's too much. You can't. That's over the top. It's unnecessary. You have a limit to what you can do, and I feel like I was trying to push beyond that. Let's just keep moving on with this promo. I'm curious where it goes, because I don't quite remember everything that happens. I don't know, I like all this detail. It's a lot of retconning, which is going to happen for like an online forum like this, where you want to make, like, I wanted to make this storyline the biggest storyline in UCW. This whole thing with Shane and Chris Xavier, that was meant to be a big thing, and then eventually it transitioned into the feud with Jam, which I kind of read about in an earlier promo, but I don't know. I don't think this was necessarily that great, but I don't remember how this plays out. Like, I don't remember what exactly the payoff is. Well, this was when I knew that I wanted to become a professional wrestler. I'd been a huge fan of the business my whole life, but I never thought that I'd ever make it. Chris trained me for 3 weeks, and even told me about a wrestling school upstate. So, my mom and I moved near it, and the rest, as they say, is history. For the first time in years, I was getting A's and B's. I began to build muscle and stamina, and I began training at the local wrestling school. My life had gone from unbearable to fantastic, and it was all because of Chris. He was... ... my savior. Oh, the puns! Oh, way to just take the tension out of the... Way to just completely ignore the severity of these past several paragraphs. You gotta throw in the pun, because... yeah, you can't let it get too serious, I guess. Chris Xavier was his name. Being a savior was his game. Go figure, who would have guessed? Memphis is seen wiping a tear off of his face. Man, I really gave myself too much credit on that last promo, on that last bit. Unless him wiping a tear from his face is supposed to be kind of me taking, you know, if it's supposed to be just comedic throwaway, and it's like, yeah, this is way too serious. You're caught up in your own hype. Not entirely sure what my intention was with that line. Not only then, but throughout my career, Chris, while not my immediate contact, was always there when I needed him. This was the point when I developed a great friendship with Ryan Mitchell, and no matter what Ryan says, we were great friends. Ryan Mitchell, of course, going back to that masked group and their separation, so they also had a connection there. Glad that I actually read that promo, because otherwise this would have been completely out of left field. But Chris was always my brother. Then I got my UCW contract, and Chris was still there. He one day approached me and asked if I wanted to be his tag team partner, and well, that brought us to the TLC match. And that was when the hidden darkness among the Disciples of Darkness came out. Oh god, that's right. Chris Xavier and Shane Cooper were once a tag team known as the Disciples of Darkness. Oh, what is with the puns? Oh, I needed a thesaurus when writing this stuff. I mean, I'm using a lot of varied words, but that could have been written better. That was, oh my god. For whatever reason, Chris seemed to be losing faith in me. And while I did make a few sudden decisions, but only because I, like any other younger brother and his older brother, wanted to make Chris proud of me. Not only that, but the TLC was a massive wake-up call for me. My own fear not only cost me everything that I had worked for, but even worse, I let Chris down. I was not going to lose to Armageddon this time. I was not going to walk out of that arena without the titles. And then I got the message. Shane pauses, and his left hand is seen digging into the desk next to him. Not only was I replaced in the tag team match, but Chris didn't even have the guts to tell me in person. And that was when my heart broke. My brother, who had been there from the beginning, sold me out because I wasn't good enough for him. Memphis, let me ask you a question. What would you have done in that situation? Memphis sits in silence, not moving a muscle. There were too many emotions running through my mind at that point for me to comprehend what had just happened. So I grasped at the first thing that entered my mind, and that was my frustration. Once the adrenaline faded away, no sooner had I gotten backstage than I broke down. Nothing could have been worse at that moment. I could have been run over by an 18-wheeler, scraped off the ground and thrown into a furnace, and felt less pain than what I had felt at that moment. Since that ordeal, I have only regarded Chris Xavier with one emotion: excitement. Why? Because little bro is done putting up with the bullshit. Little brother is about to take his turn, and little brother can't wait to get his hands on big brother's broken, lifeless body. Chris Xavier is about to feel all of the pain that he has caused me, and his life is about to be destroyed the way mine was all those years ago. You stabbed the wrong brother in the back, Chris, and we're about to become brothers in blood when you lie bloody and broken at my feet. Shane violently lets go of the desk as blood drips off his fingers onto the mangled portion of the desk which he had been crushing during his speech. Shane wipes the blood across his face, and a smile is seen growing out of the corner of his mouth. Memphis, terrified, slightly shakes in his chair as Shane looks directly into the camera. Get well soon, Chris. The interview fades out as Jamie is seen in his recliner. And of course, how do you keep going from that? Like, not even because it was a good way to end off, but like, put the "that escalated quickly" meme in that post. Like, right here, right in this space. Type in "that escalated quickly." That was that promo. How do you go on from that? Great interview, Mustache. Now next week on Aftermath, after the brutal fight at Anniversary, I will conduct a sit-down interview with my very own brother Jam. I have to say I'm nervous. Anything else, Mustache? Jamie looks around trying to find Memphis, and yeah, nothing happens. That was the end. That was the thing. Like, I would write something like that. This is a freaking chapter of a novel. Good lord. But I would write something like that, and because this was at like 9:20 at night, presumably on like a school night, so I would do that and then get burnt out. And I'm like, well, what the heck? I'd have nothing else to write because I would just exhaust myself writing this thing. Like, when was the reply before that? That was at 7:02. I probably spent like an hour or two writing this thing. And like, he didn't even reply till the next day because like, when you're trying to keep a promo going and I just sort of jump in with this massive wall of text, it is kind of difficult to keep the momentum going from that. So that was sort of the end. UCW Aftermath only had, I think, maybe 3 or 4 episodes. One of them, I think, was actually with my buddy Sletter, who's now in FAM. And he's doing a call contest, which I plugged it during Roadblock. I sent out a tweet about it, but I'm going to mention it again here. If you're interested, it's pretty cool. He's good with that. I mean, he's good at running that type of thing. I once guest starred in one of his call contests as a guest judge. It was fun. It was fun. But yeah, he was sort of the co-anchor, so when they mentioned Josh Vital, that was the co-anchor for episode 1, and then Jam sort of took over. And I really like this one. I don't remember how episode 1 went, but I like this one. So I think that's gonna do it for this episode. This is not even really an episode. But that's gonna do it for this, what do I even call this? The UCW Chronicles? Or should I just say, like, reading old promos, such cringe, much wow. I don't know. I don't even know. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed whatever this video was. Yeah, if you'd like me to do another part of this, let me know, and I could take a look at Veterans of the Ring, the predecessor to UCW, to Undisputed Championship Wrestling. Yeah, maybe I could cover Veterans of the Ring. Take a look at some of my worst stuff. But we're gonna call it a day. I've done enough. This is way longer than I expected it to be, but then again, I didn't know how long it was gonna be. But yeah, that's gonna do it. Hopefully you found some sort of merit in this. You can see kind of how I used to write. Like I said in my State of the Channel video about using this YouTube channel to potentially promote other content, like stories that I'm writing. Writing's not the right word because I'm not really making progress with it, but I'd like to, which is why using my YouTube channel to promote it would give me more of an opportunity to actually make progress on that, because I'd have more of a motivation to do it. And it would be much less edgy, and I'd be less in over my head, because I actually have some sort of a semblance of what it means to write and what you have to do to be good at writing, and like what not to do. What not to do, because I did not know what not to do back in 2011. Heck, in 2014, there were still things that I needed to know not to do that I did not know. So, yeah, maybe we could do another part of this. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, voice crack. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, like I always say, keep on YouTubing. UCW Aftermath, that's what it was called. It's funny because math, after math, math whiz, ah!